So, George, could you tell us a little bit more about the freedom fighters that you ran from while you were on a mission? We would like to know a little bit more about that story.
At the time that Rhodesian people were hoping to get independent from the white government, freedom fighters came onto the mission where we were, and as a result, the church authorities closed the mission down for fear of attacks. So it was closed. The mission was closed for 2 years, and when it reopened, we returned, and the former freedom fighters, some of them had not handed in their weapons, and they were known as dissidents. They lived in the bush and robbed missions and stores by using their guns. 3 of these men came on to the mission one night and cut a hole in the security fence, came in and took 3 of the staff captive in the hopes of having the mission's safe opened. Now it so happened that my wife, Edith, had the safe key, and she knew the combination of the lock on the safe, and so in the end the principal and his wife and one of the African staff came to our front door and took my wife with them to the office to unlock the safe. All the way there she prayed that the lock would open without any trouble, because it was such an old combination that it very rarely ever opened the first time she tried it. Well, this time it did open. The dissidents took the roll of money that was in there and the coins, and as they came out of the office, my wife went back to turn the light off, and careful as she was to save electricity. And at that time, the party line telephone rang. One of the dissidents opened up, raised his rifle to shoot her as she came back, because they thought she was phoning the police. The principal caught on very quickly, and he said, "No, that's the party line and it's not our ring." And the African teacher quickly translated that into Sindebele, and the gunman lowered his rifle as Edith came back through the door. However, they lined them up, they lined the 4 of them up on the quadrangle, and the 2 weeks previously that had happened on a neighboring mission, and all of the Salvation Army staff on the neighboring mission had been shot after they were lined up. So the principal and his wife and Mama and Edith expected that might happen to them. One of the dissidents said, "Whose motor car is that standing in the school grounds?" And the teacher said, "That's mine." So the dissident said, "All right, drive us off the mission." And that was to the great relief of the other 3. But they notified the rest of us on the mission that this had happened, and we prayed earnestly for this young man, the African teacher, because we thought that he would be shot, because he would know where he put these men down. I must say that only 2 of them had made themselves apparent, and it was at that moment when they were getting into the car that the 3rd armed dissident came out of the shadows. If I had tried to rescue Edith or make any moves, all of us would have been shot. So I did think that the Lord had his hand over us in more ways and at more times than one. However, the young man drove these 2 about 5 miles away, and they said, "Stop." And he thought, "Oh, this is where I'll get shot." But they got out of the car at a crossroad there in the bush, and he was most surprised when they walked away and left him, and he drove back, much to the relief of the whole staff of us, who by that, my wife had contacted me by that time, and we were all praying earnestly for his safety.